Yo, what's up? All right, y'all. I had been hearing about a book called White Fear for a while, and I have to tell you that I'm really interested in reading this book. I haven't read books in a long time, but I want to start reading this year, and this is one of the books I want to read. One of the reasons I want to read this book is just to get an understanding, first of all, of what the author is saying. Obviously, he's trying to make a point. And just recently I experienced some things, and I want to know. I want to get a better understanding of this world and what we are up against, because we are up against something. We don't. I don't think we fully understand what we're up against. As being black in America and the black man in America and things like that. So it's always interesting to hear other people talk and to kind of see where their head is at. And then this book, White Fear, is really a good book, because one thing that I realized when I was confronted by a white man to tell me to get out his store, you could tell he was enraged. Like, to see me as a grown man, probably with a beard on, it's like he was enraged. Like, you know how somebody come up and want to fight you, and you could tell they puffed up. That's what I've seen him as somebody who riled up and puffed up. And he got tattoos. He's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Get out of my store. Like that. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what like I experienced. So I do see there's some type of white fear. And I want to know more about it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking no white. I like white people. I like all races. I'm not prejudiced. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see nothing bad happen to white people. I went out to the unemployment office. I talked to white people who got laid off just like me. Like, we all the same, but we need to address this. So I'm gonna say, y'all, we need to address it. We can't overlook it, because if we overlook it, we're not gonna know what to tell our kids. We're not gonna know what to tell our grandkids. I've always been told that I need to be careful around white people, and if they, you know what I'm saying, and to act a certain way, behave a certain way. One big thing that just yells out is like, when a cop pulls up to a black person, we automatically get fearful. We fear that we might not go home. We fear we're going to lose our life. We straighten up. We got to talk to them a certain way. Keep our hand on the steering wheel. I heard we got to keep our hand on the steering wheel. You know what I'm saying? With white people, that's totally different. Like my white friends, they'll cuss a cop out. They'll cuss a cop out for pulling them over. Like, that's unheard of in the black community. Go talk to a white person and tell them and ask them what is their experience of being pulled over. They don't have that same fear, that same anxiety. My friend told me he was drunk and basically cussed the cop out. Why are you pulling me over? You go home. You make sure you get home. It's a totally different thing. It's foreign to us. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. And we don't even talk like that no other time, except for when we in front of a judge or a cop. Yes, sir. No, sir. So when we in front of authority, I'm not gonna say that's acting like a man. It's acting like a man, because you got to get out of the situation. But you're not acting like a man by yes, sir, no, sir. You're almost acting like a slave. No, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm not in the military, so why should I have to yes, sir, no, sir? Because I have to get home. Because I might die fucking with a cop. That's why we got those rules set in place so we can live and survive. It's totally different between the white person and the black person. I just bought a car from some Mexicans I knew were illegal. Like, they had their whole car, one half car that you tinted, so they can hide in that car. So they feel it too. Mexicans feel it too. Blacks feel it too. No other race really feels that. Like, the cop pulling me over, like, what are you pulling me over? Why are you bothering me? Why? Let me go about my day. Get out of here. Oh, sorry, sir. You go ahead, go home. You know what I'm saying? Like it blew my mind when my friend told me, like, I don't talk to cop coming. Shoot, you better. They talk to the cops totally different than we would talk to the cops. We don't get that luxury to speak to a cop like that. We gotta be, yes sir, no sir. I get my license, sir, and you still might get shot. You still might get shot just because you confirmed, yes sir, no sir. You still might get shot. Like, we are supposed, and then here's the thing with me. We're supposed to do this for authorities, right? The owner ain't no authority. The owner of a business is not no authority. So you mean to tell me I'm supposed to do this with everybody? Yes, sir. No, sir. Any white person come who got some money, I'm supposed to, yes, sir. No, sir. Nah, man, that shit don't sound right, man. I know it's the way it's supposed to be, but I'm just saying, don't sound right, man. The older I get, the more foreign it seems. That's why I got to teach my kids. Yes, sir. No, sir. You better get on it. Because if you don't get on it, son, daughter, you might not make it home. You might die. If you don't, yes, sir. No, sir. Anyway, we're going to watch this video. It's called White Fear. And I just want y'all to take a look at it, man. Just y'all watch this stuff, man. Like, this is a book written, so people have actually did their research, and I want to look at it and say, you're looking at it like I'm looking at it for the first time, and I want to hear what this man has to say, and then we can discuss it after that, okay? So just keep an open mind. I'm dealing with racism right now. It's a tough topic. I hope it's probably going to come back and bite me later.
Fear, or how the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. And let me tell you something, friends. This is one of the most powerful books of our time. The United States as a whole was founded, built, and established on racism. On the purest level of racism. And I think that's something that every American should understand and acknowledge, especially my melanin deficient friends. This country would be a much better place empathetically. I never thought that a documentative book would expand my mind the way White Fear did. And I gotta say, this is not a sponsored video. I just had this book sent by one of my good friends. I read it and it blew my mind, so I have to share it with y'all. This book just hit me in a way that not many books have, and I've read a lot in college. Now, I've known most of the aspects in this book. It was just never explained to me or put on a table per se, the way Roland Martin did in this book. Now, I am going to use excerpts from this book to explain what White Fear is and the direction that this country is going in the next 2 decades. A direction that's making white people in the United States horrified.
Is your IT team constantly putting out fires? Well, get ahead of the chaos with the terrorists.
So, what is White Fear? We can take that question in many directions, but I think that there's only one way to explain this. White people are afraid of other races being in power in this country. They don't like anyone that is involved in anything that can systematically change this country, especially when it's a systemic change that is in the better interest for everyone, not just white people. White privilege is real. Systemic racism is real, and white ignorance is the driving force of both of those. And many white people don't even know this. Many of them don't even believe in it. What many Latinos, Hispanics, Asian people, and black people will say differently. But Roland Martin broke this down perfectly, and I'm paraphrasing here. First, we have to understand White Fear. It is important to understand the insanity and the history behind it also. Without the proper knowledge of this, we will continue to be blindsided every time White Fear inevitably rears its head. So let's look back when White Fear really got its start. Slavery. The moment slaves were given freedom, the South became furious. January 31st, 1865, slavery was abolished. However, most slaves in those southern states, June 19th, 1865, a day also known as Juneteenth.
Wow.
And that's just the beginning. Once blacks started being voted into Congress in the South, white people lost their minds even more. Those motherfuckers is down in Mississippi. Dude, once white people started screaming, too many blacks are being voted into Congress, that's gotta stop. White fear started brewing in Mississippi. And guess what? Since 1890, not a single African American has been voted into state office in Mississippi. Since 1890.
Did y'all listen, that's crazy. They were so pissed that white people, black people was being voted in the office that they haven't voted for a black person in that part of the country since 1890. Not one single black person. It's 2025. Let that sink in, y'all.
Wait, there's more. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. White fear embedded its ugly head into the section of the town known as Black Wall Street. Black folks had everything there. It was one of the most prosperous African American communities in the United States. Seeing black people succeed? Well, y'all know that don't fly with white mother. This scared white people so much that they thought black people are gonna start taking over everything and even enslave white people. I wish I was kidding. So you know what those white people did? They burned that whole section down. Burned it down because white fear was flowing through their veins. Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. Just because this high school was integrating 9 black students into their program, white fear emerged and had white people following them on their way to school, screaming at them, throwing racial slurs at them, spitting at them. I wonder who...
Yo, this is what I'm saying. Y'all have to understand. Imagine today you was walking to school and people were spitting on you. Y'all would snap the fuck out. Like, y'all, this was rough back then, y'all. It's Black History Month. This is time for us to learn about this stuff because we're going to have to start teaching ourselves anyway because the Board of Education is going to be gone. So we have to start teaching our kids and stuff anyway. I think it's good that we are teaching. We got to teach our kids and stuff. I think that's a good thing. Putting it back into the hands of us to teach our kids about history. Because the only thing I learned about was like Martin Luther King and stuff like that. So maybe this is a good thing. All right. So I'm being positive again. So here we go.
Whose grandma this is today? If this is even alive. I would love to hear her opinion on this matter nowadays. Then there was the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. Black man influencing too many people? Even white people? He's gotta be stopped. Now, white fear took a hard grip on white people in the 1970s when schools started really integrating and even establishing mandatory busing to other non-integrated schools. Then we have some modern white fear, where Bill Clinton signed the crime bill into law in 19...
It's crazy because we were bused to a white school. We lived on South End. They bused us. We were supposed to go to Manual, which was like a mile away. They bus us all the way out to Richwood, which was like 5, 6, 7 miles away. So we can go to a white school. They didn't want us going to Manual. They want us going to Richwood. So I never did understand that. But that's like from this period of time that stuff still went on. It still goes on today.
1994. You remember that? That 3-strike rule? Oh, and Joe Biden was one of the main sponsors of that bill. Just for your information. The president that we have today has definitely...
Okay, so then there you go. So we're not being political or nothing. Joe Biden did, he was behind the 3-strike rule, which was really bad for black people. And that's what a lot of people were talking about before Joe Biden got president. Like, he really was bad for black people in the earlier part of his career. He didn't really, so that's that.
Definitely snorted a line or two of white fear himself. Don't get that twisted. Then we have the Shelby County versus Holder verdict of 2013, gutting most of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and of course, the election of Donald Jessica Trump. We cannot forget that. Now, arguably, this is the most that white fear has ever been televised on national television here in the United States.
Now, warning, that's probably gonna piss somebody off. That's not my opinion. Okay, that's not my opinion. I'm only looking at white fear, whatever he has, he already said Joe Biden wasn't no good, so obviously he's not for Joe Biden either. But that's not my opinion. Please, y'all, do not let that piss you off. If you're gonna make negative comments, make it about him because he said it, not me. All right, so here we go.
Possibly has the most impact it ever had on white people expressing white fear. Now, let's make this clear. White fear has never left, and it probably will never leave. It'll inevitably, more than likely, become worse and worse. If January 6th, 2021 didn't express white fear at its finest, then brace yourself for the next 2 decades.
Sorry, y'all.
As Mr. Martin states, the minority-majority shift will happen during that time. By the year 2043, Latinos, Hispanics, Asian people, and black people will be the majority in the United States. White people will be the minority. And that is the main reason why white people are expressing white fear today. A land that they colonized and violently took over, they can't imagine not controlling it. Why do you think they're packing the courts with white right-wing judges? Why do you think they're trying to make voting so difficult in the South for minorities? Why do you think they're putting voting locations in super small buildings in predominantly black areas so these people have to wait for hours to cast their vote? Why do you think that is? Why do you think they haven't fixed the water problem in Jackson, Mississippi and in Flint, Michigan? They don't want to help minorities. They would rather them go away and
That was a Flint, Michigan. We were just talking about that. They have a serious water problem in Flint, Michigan. And I thought it was dealt with, but they still haven't fixed their water. And people are getting cancer. People are getting all types of sicknesses from that water. That's crazy.
Disappear. That is white fear in its purest form. Now, let's look at the year 2006. A young, inspiring senator decided that he was going to run for the highest office of the land. His name is Barack Hussein Obama, an African-American senator from Illinois. He ran a hell of a campaign and eventually won. We had finally gotten our black president and it felt good. I voted for him twice and I don't regret it one bit. But 8 years of Obama made white people very, very scared. This fueled white Republicans in 2010 to win both chambers of Congress. They could not stand the fact that a black man was running their little white country. So in 2016, they retaliated by putting Donald Jessica Trump into their primaries, him eventually winning the candidacy, which I still believe today that they did not expect, and then winning the whole thing, beating Hillary Clinton. During Trump's campaign, rallies, and even presidency, he became the face of white fear, the spokesperson, the alpha and omega. White people loved the shit he said. He said everything that he thought about behind closed doors. They didn't give a shit what he said, be it racist or the blatant mockery of a disabled reporter.
All right, so we're gonna end it there because, like I said, I'm not trying to piss people off, but I do want to read this book, and I've noticed, like, over the years, like, people, it almost seems like it's a fear, and I want to know more about that, and I want to see why that is, because I'm going to release that video of, I wasn't going to, but I'm going to release a video of the incident that happened just recently, and I'm going to show y'all how he looked at me when I first went in there, the store, and it was nothing but fear. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that is. But if you guys want to see more of this, I am going to play more of this on YouTube. So I'm going to jump off of Facebook and I'm going to play more on YouTube. If you want to watch more on YouTube, I'll put a link on there. Okay, cool.
They didn't give a f. White fear was officially front and center with Donald Trump as president, and with him now being out for 2 years, white fear is still here. It has not gone away. Not even a little bit. On November 8th, 2021, we found out that Joe Biden would be the next president of the United States, and I gotta say to y'all, I had 20,000 pounds of pressure off of my shoulder, knowing that Donald Trump would not be running this country further into the ground. But once we found this out, That's when white fear spiked and Trump used it to his advantage. The election was stolen. The election was rigged. That's all he was screaming, and he's still screaming it today. But it wasn't until January 6th, 2021 that white fear took a hard turn. A hard, violent turn on our Capitol steps and in our congressional chambers. Trump extremists stormed the Capitol in an insurrection to stop the presidential democratic process of transferring power from Trump to Biden. 5 people lost their lives that day. And for what? Because their dictator cultist lost? Because they thought it was a stolen election? No. It was because of white fear. It was because of white fear fueling all of those things. If white fear wasn't the fuel to this fire, this might have never happened. White fear is always a fuel ready to be ignited. And white people need to finally start understanding and looking in the mirror and asking themselves, how can I help? How can I help to end white fear? How can I encourage myself to be part of a change that is good? A change that is integrating different cultures that we can learn from and even enjoy. White fear and white ignorance is something that I want my white friends and colleagues to understand, that we need to get rid of it. We need to start fighting against it naturally and organically. People are people, and when we realize that we're the same on the inside, this might actually change. Now, here's my question, and I will see you in the comment section. Do you think white fear is